Hi Jamie.
Hi Mark.
Nice to see you again.
Here we are back in Tenerife.
Back in Tenerife.
Where it all happens in the winter time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to take a minute this morning to show you the new XSURF Pulse board range. Yeah, just talk you through some of the things that we've changed and improved for this year. You're familiar with the boards we had last year, so I'm excited to show you what we've done.
Yeah, well, I've been using the new boards as well, and I like the new changes already. But yeah, let's go through it. Let's see what we've got.
I mean, the most obvious thing, as you can see if you look behind us, is we've added a lot more sizes to the range.
Yeah, they're looking good.
So last year we had the 40 litre and the 60 litre. The 40 litre being more towards intermediate advanced riders, and the 60 litre was more geared towards beginner intermediates. But clearly the sport of foil assist is growing really fast, and more sizes were demanded. So we've added 2 smaller sizes to the range and 1 bigger. We've also stopped quoting the litres on the board because in the world of foil assist, foil drive, this number is pretty useless. It really doesn't mean anything at all. A 40 litre from one brand can be too big and a 40 litre from the other brand can be too small. It depends on the board design and the designer's philosophy, not the physical litres in the board. So we've renamed the boards. Now we have extra small, small, medium large and extra large, and I think that communicates better who the board is for.
That's going to be fun. In the centre, and I'm sure we will have a range of all the boards. You know, the extra small, I can imagine people being on that, you know, the small, the medium and the large, and the extra large. We will definitely very excited to have that in the school.
Yeah. So let's start with the extra large.
Yeah.
This is a board for people on their first days with the foil assist foil drive. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're learning is standing up too quickly and sinking the board. And when the board sinks, the connectivity is gone and the engine stops. Yeah. So for most people, they need 1, 2, 3 sessions on a big enough board that if they stand up too quickly, they don't lose the connection. And that's what we've done with this board. So we've put the trench in, which is really important. It reduces the weight of the foil drive, it improves the efficiency. But we've left some volume in the board because this is the only board in the range where the volume is important. It needs some litres.
I noticed, well, within the school, our main size would be 125 litres. So we reckon the 100 litres, this extra large board is going to be good. And having a trench also, if there's any chop, it's going to help them just, you know, no sideways movement. It's going to be very balanced. The battery's going to be higher in the board. All the things that we need in a school board. I think it's going to be an absolute winner for people on our first go. I mean, we know we've done so many demo days at this rate and so many test runs. We know what boards and what sizes work best. I mean, we tried 150 litres, we tried 160 litres. They were all too big, so it was always around that 100 litres. We have to talk litres for a moment, sorry about that. But yeah, we just know the size of board from doing all the demos, and I think that definitely is the size that we've got is definitely going to work for sure.
So I'm going to skip now to the other end of the range because there's some features we've done on that carry into the medium and the large. So the 2 completely new boards we've brought to the range, the extra small and the small, and these were designed from the ground up for foil assist foil drive. And we've learned a lot in the last 18 months. So there were some characteristics I really wanted to get into these boards to get them working better. This board we have next to us is the small. One of the prime, most important things for a foil drive board is that it gets on foil easily. The foil drive is not that powerful. It's powerful, but it's not enough to push a small board through the water with a heavy rider on it. So you need a board that's really working to accelerate and get up to speed quickly. So this was one of the key features we worked on. And the second thing is the angle of your feet on the board. When you're stood on the board, the difference in height between your front and back feet is really, really important. It changes the feel of the board completely. If your front foot is too low, it feels like the board is foiling nose down. And if your front foot is too high, it's really hard to stop the foil from breaching. So I'm not gonna tell you exactly what the numbers are because we worked hard to find it and that's for me to know. But you'll notice we have a small concave under the front foot here. And this does two things. Firstly, it's more comfortable for your foot. And secondly, it allows us to fine tune the angle without changing the rocker and the volume distribution in the board. So this was important. The concave deck under your front foot means when you're rolling the board, the ergonomics of it are just simply more comfortable. But for the rear foot, it's not so comfortable because you're forcing your toes too much in the air because your foot covers so much of the real estate in the board. So the back of the board, we have a nice rolled deck that your toes can grip into. And for the front foot, we have the concave. You'll notice as well that there's no vent in the nose of the board. And that's because we've changed all of the boards to a closed cell foam. And what that means is that there is no passage for water to get through. The foam that we've used has a water absorption of 0.7 milliliters in 24 hours. So you're talking no water absorption, and that is really critical because any small crack in your board that takes water will disrupt the signal. So the closed cell foam, that's a huge step forward. We've worked really hard to make the boards light and still in the closed cell foam. If you go on a trip and you ding your board, you don't have to rush to the beach immediately. Of course, you need to fix it, but you won't lose the connectivity on the board. So that was a really big addition. And you'll notice that the connectivity, which was already very good on the Pulse range, is now even better. What else have we done? Of course, we still have the nose protection pad. Small thing, but if you put your board on the concrete to change the foil, it's nice to keep the paint on the nose. And you'll notice that the pad goes all the way to the back for the same reason, that you don't want to lose the paint on the tail of the board.
Down there's a change. There's 2 screws now.
There was before.
Was that? Yeah, they seem stronger though.
A lot of people have asked why we went for this system with inserts for the leash.
Yeah.
The answer is 2 answers. Firstly, with the weight of the foil drive on the board, it's much heavier than a traditional surfboard, and traditional surfboard leash plugs are designed for much lighter equipment.
Yeah.
So the metal pin in the middle can rip out. And secondly, with the way we make the boards and the molding, the nylon is a problem with the temperature. So we prefer not to use a nylon plug. The twin inserts is working perfectly and it's extremely strong.
Good feature that, isn't it?
So let's turn it over and look at what we've done underneath the board.
Yeah, do.
So you've seen the range before and you know what we do with the trench, and the trench which opens, allowing you to slide the foil back and change the battery. Yeah. Which I think is a great thing. Taking the foil all the way off the board to change the battery, it's a bit hassle and there's also danger for the foil falling around, putting it on the concrete. What we've done though is because of the fusion and the newer generation of foils, we've actually extended the trench further forwards in the board, and this means you can still get the fusion really far forward into the board. If you're using a Gen 2 Max, it sits a little bit back, but it really doesn't matter. It's not affecting the water flow. So this was a major change, that we moved the trench further forward into the board. And you'll see we've also got a different material in the bottom of the trench. And this is a PBT top sheet, like it's used on a twin tip. And it does 2 things. It makes it very easy to slide the foil in and out because it's very slippery. And secondly, it's very, very hard to damage. Meaning if you've got sand between your foil drive and the board and you slide it backwards and forwards, you're not wearing the glass and the paint off your board. This will look exactly the same in 1 year as it does now. Small feature, but very nice that you're not damaging your board with the sand. The other thing you'll notice clearly is that the tracks now exit from the back of the board.
Yeah.
This makes it very easy to put the foil in and out because your T-nuts stay on the foil all the time. And you can just slide it on and tighten them up. Very easy. And with the Fusion, you have to move the unit a long way back to change that big battery. And with the tail of the board closed, we can't get it far enough back, and we would have to extend the trench almost to the nose of the board.
Right.
So the nice thing with this is that we can move the Fusion all the way back and change the battery in the board without having to take the foil off.
Very good.
Nice benefit. To make this work, the T-nuts have to be connected to each other, and you've seen we have the connected T-nuts. Without them, the back bolts spin and it makes it difficult to get it in and out the tracks. So those connected T-nuts are pretty critical to the whole system.
Yeah, this slide-proof material, I mean, I've been using it for a week now, and yeah, sometimes, as we all do, you come out the surf and it's full of sand, and yeah, it's just sliding backwards and forwards, which is really nice, and I don't have to worry anymore. It just moves. And you said that the material is from the twin tip kite surfing market, and it just doesn't scratch.
No,
that would be on the underside of the board, basically, on a twin tip board.
And the top side, because we all know that
kite surfers ran their stuff up the beach.
They like to ride on the sand, and the rocks and the concrete and anything else they can find to ride on. So
we really discovered, like this week, that this really does work. Sliding in and out, and we've all been changing boards and different types of equipment all the time, and just slide everything out. Next person slides their stuff in. Everybody's really fast changes, and we're changing boards all the time, so it's been really good, eh?
In terms of the physical shape, we've stuck with the philosophy that a full drive board works a little bit like a skim board, in that you want it up on the surface of the water as quickly as possible, and then it will be stable to stand up and start foiling. In a small board, it becomes more of a challenge because you need enough rocker not to be nosediving into the chop, but too much rocker creates a foam ball under the nose, which the engine won't power you over. So you'll see we have quite a bulbous nose with a lot of V in it. And this is designed to break through the foam ball that's being created under the board. But as you can see, it rolls out to the rail. So when you're riding and you touch down accidentally, or you roll foil enough that it touches, it doesn't grab. This was a really, really critical part of the design, that it's keeping the rocker flat through the center section, separating the foam ball, and not catching on nose dives and touchdowns.
Yeah, I've been out on this board in 30 knots, and I could just about ride, and I was glad I didn't have a foam ball in the front. I can tell you that now. And I do know that the touchdown on a wave or getting up is just that flat area we have here, and the special part that you've done there is making a huge difference. I was on a 60-litre board, and now, you know, I'm on a 40-litre board, the small. So yeah, I think this is, you know, this design and this concept that you've got going here, and obviously whatever's going back here is secret. But yeah, I'm loving the fact that I can just keep my board really stable, and there's no wobble like this. I'm just nice, and the board's nice and thin, and I just get that nice gentle glide, and I get the right spot, and then I can get balance onto my knees. I can still leave my hands on the board, do my old man step up thing, you know, put one foot up in the right place. And because I've got the marks on the top of the board, I know exactly where to put my feet for every size foil that I use. Bang, I'm up.
So
it's good. And
you can see that we've continued with this on all the boards, that we have the stripes in the pad for exactly that reason, that when you stand up, you can see where your feet are on the board instantly.
Really
Sometimes if you have a single color pad, it can be really awkward to know if you're stood in the right place or not. So that's why we have the stripes. It wasn't designed by the graphics team. It was done by the R&D team to know our feet are in the right place.
Yeah.
We've also continued, you'll notice that on all the boards from extra small to large, we have an incredibly thin board above the foil drive. Yeah. In fact, we have 16 millimeters for the trench and 4 millimeters for the laminate, but there's no foam between here and your foot. And the reason for that is to try to get the foil drive as close to your foot as possible. Very common that people think that the trench is designed to reduce drag, and it's not. The first reason for having a trench was to get the weight of the foil drive as close to your foot as possible.
Absolutely.
Because when it's tucked up under your foot, you just don't notice the weight. And the further away you put it, when you roll the foil, it has the most swing weight and you have the less control over it. So that's the prime reason, and that's why we make the boards so thin over the tracks. And of course, it does help. When you touch down, not having the unit surface mounted definitely does help, but it's not the primary reason for doing it.
Yeah, but that extra, when the battery's so close to your foot, it just helps with so much. Exactly. Any form of wave riding, getting up, it is the game changer. You know, so, really. What are these numbers for, Mark? What, are they all consistent through the board? So from the numbers
just allow you to know where you're going to put your foil drive. Of course, for every rider and every foil, it changes a little bit. Some people like it a little bit back, some like it a little forwards. But what this gives you is a visual reference so that when you put your board together and slide the foil in, you can put it where it was when you had a great session, everything was perfect. And if it wasn't, you can see how much you move it to achieve that. So
it's a starting point.
The reason that the front numbers here are in white is because these are extra ones added over last year. So if last year you had the Pulse and you rode the foil at number 2, you would put it here at number 2 again. So we try to keep it consistent, that if you're changing boards or whatever, you always know you're getting your foil into the right place.
Yeah, well, I'm on 4 on this board. 4 to 4.5, depending.
So
I'm using.
That's the small. We have the extra small. Both those designs are completely new designs for this year. The medium and the large, these are overall the same shapes as we had last year with the 40 and 60, but we've added the longer trench to make it fusion compatible. We've added the rear exit tracks for easy battery swaps. We've added the PBT top sheet to the bottom for extra sliding. So overall, the same boards that were extremely popular last year already, but we've added the 2026 developments from the small boards to them.
They were a good starting point and everybody did use them. So
I think that they...
where we got the feedback, really, you know, what people needed, wasn't it?
The medium and the large really allow beginner to intermediate riders to use a much smaller board than they think they're going to be able to use.
Yeah.
And by the time they've mastered that, then they'll be ready for a small or a extra small. But, you know, there's no reason not to be riding a medium for the rest of your foiling career if that's what you want. There's no pressure to go smaller.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not quite so agile in standing up, then a board like the medium really does make it very, very easy. So I think...
let's have a look. Let's slide a...
So you can see I've got my Fusion here with a lovely integrated mast. And I've got, you can see, as I said, the T-nuts and the bolts live on the foil now. You never have to take them off. So this is our connected T-nut that we talked about. That's important to stop them swiveling when you put them into the track. You don't have to undo the bolts very much. You need just enough to slide them in. If you undo them too much, the T-nut will hit the top of the track. So don't undo them too much. When you're ready for your session, all you have to do is put it on the back of the board like this. And you see how easy is that?
I did that this morning
We tighten our bolts.
And it was very, very sandy and very, very windy. And I put mine in like that in sand. So I was very happy.
When you want to change your battery, for a Gen 2, moving it back this far gives you enough trench to change your battery. With the Fusion, you'll need to move it back. You see the bolts are now out the board.
Yeah.
This gives me enough space to change my Fusion battery. We can slide it back in again, tighten the bolts to our session, and when we've finished at the end of the day, we just slide it out the board. It's as easy as that.
And it's going to be great for, transporting it like this now.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about. Easy transporting, easy putting together.
So that is the 2026 XSURF Pulse range. There's really a board here for everyone, and I think we should go test them.
We should go again.
Let's go.